If you've ever set foot in a convenience store in Japan, you know the scene. You've seen those perfect rows of triangular onigiris, or rice balls. They're an absolute staple, right? A quick, delicious go-to meal. But what you probably don't realize is that hidden inside that simple plastic wrapper is a piece of pure engineering genius that solved a problem that stumped people for decades. And the whole secret? It all comes down to that perfect, satisfying crunch. So, let's just dive right into the central mystery here. It's a question that, honestly, most of us have probably never even thought to ask. But once you do think about it, it's kind of baffling. How in the world does that seaweed stay so incredibly crisp when it's wrapped around moist rice for hours on end? To really appreciate just how brilliant the solution is, we first have to understand the enemy: moisture. For the longest time, this one single issue made the idea of selling pre-made onigiri pretty much impossible. Yeah, back in the day, onigiri was something you made at home, period. You'd make it in the morning, pack it up for lunch, and eat it a few hours later. And the seaweed, it would get soft and a little soggy, what the Japanese call shitori. But that was just normal. That was the taste of a homemade lunch.
This slide just lays out the whole conflict perfectly. On one side, you've got your traditional onigiri with that soft seaweed, the taste of home. But on the other, you have this dream of selling them in stores, which meant the seaweed had to be crispy, or pari pari. The problem was just basic physics. Rice is packed with water, and dried seaweed is basically a sponge. It was a total nightmare for anyone trying to sell them.
So this whole soggy seaweed problem seemed completely unsolvable. But then, everything changed thanks to one single, brilliant invention that just rewrote all the rules for this humble little snack.
Okay, so picture this. It's the 1970s. Convenience stores like 7-Eleven are just starting to pop up all over Japan. They really wanted to sell onigiri, but they just could not get past that sogginess issue. Then, boom, 1978. That's the magic year. 7-Eleven developed something they called the Potasco film, a name that literally hints at that crispy sound it was designed to create.
But here's the crazy part. When this revolutionary new onigiri was first released, it was a total bust. I'm not kidding. Can you believe they only sold about 2 or 3 of these things per store per day? The whole idea of buying an onigiri instead of making one at home was just totally alien to people. But then, word started to get around. You know how it is. People started talking about this incredible new experience, that super satisfying crunch of the seaweed, something you could never, ever get with a homemade onigiri that had been sitting in a lunchbox for hours. That crispy texture became a sensation, and it single-handedly turned onigiri from something you make into something you buy.
So how does this film actually pull off its magic trick? Well, it all comes down to a brilliantly simple physical mechanism. It's all about keeping those two enemies, the moist rice and the dry seaweed, from ever touching until the exact moment you're ready to eat.
The official term for this tech is separate packaging, or separate hauso, and really, the name tells you everything you need to know. The entire concept is built on one simple idea: separation.
Okay, so there are 3 secrets working together in perfect harmony here. First, you've got the barrier, a literal plastic wall that sits between the rice and the seaweed. Second, the material itself is super special. It's this multi-layered film that's basically a fortress against moisture. And third, that iconic triangle shape, it's not just for looks. It is structurally perfect. It's designed so that when you peel the film, it guides the seaweed to wrap itself flawlessly around the rice every single time. But of course, all this brilliant science and history leads to one final test. A challenge that every tourist, and let's be honest, even some locals, faces: opening the darn thing correctly.
And here it is, the official foolproof method. The 3-step guide that's printed right there on the wrapper. You pull tab number 1 all the way down and around the back. Then you gently pull tab number 2 from one side, and finally, tab number 3 from the other. You do that, and you're rewarded with a perfectly wrapped, perfectly crispy onigiri. But we've all seen it go wrong, haven't we? You pull way too hard and just rip the seaweed. Or you get the order mixed up and the naked rice ball just plops right out. Or my personal favorite, when only one side of the plastic comes off, leaving you with this sticky, deconstructed mess. It's practically a rite of passage for visitors to Japan.
You know, the impact of this clever piece of plastic was just huge. It went so far beyond just keeping seaweed crispy. It took a simple homemade food and made it ready for the big leagues, for mass production, for distribution, and ultimately for the entire world.
And this chart really shows you why onigiri is so incredibly popular with tourists.
The one that costs about 150 yen here in Japan, it might sell for double or even triple that in the US. And in a city like Paris, you could be paying 5 or 6 times the price. It's no wonder they become a go-to snack for anyone traveling here. And that's really what it all comes down to, isn't it? This quote from a French tourist just says it all. For millions of people visiting Japan, the convenience store onigiri has become this essential, affordable, and delicious part of their whole experience. And a huge part of that is thanks to that clever little wrapper. So the next time you open an onigiri and you hear that satisfying crinkle and that perfect crunch, just take a second to appreciate the decades of innovation you're holding in your hands. A simple solution to a soggy problem that helped to turn a local snack into a global icon. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other everyday objects out there are hiding a revolutionary story?